This is the Superpowered Mind podcast for inquiring individuals who are tired of the struggle for peace, happiness, and clarity. I'm Claire Diamond, ready to help you explore the principles of the mind, the self, and reality to unlock ultimate mental freedom. This podcast is the one to listen to if you're ready to experience the capabilities of the superpowered mind. Hi, everybody. Yesterday was my birthday, so today I am having the present of talking about my favorite subject, which is efficiency. I think this is my favorite subject because of my upbringing and what I've seen the people in my life having to do in terms of an enormous step up of how very, very limited resources are used. And these two people are my mum, who brought us up, me and my sister up on her own from when I was 10 and my sister was 8, because my father was diagnosed with leukemia. And so for a year, she was doing a full-time job at Wales Polytechnic, as it was then, looking after my sister, who was very, very ill with cystic fibrosis in hospital most of the time, looking after my father, looking after me, running a household, organizing bills and mortgage and food and everything. And how she managed to keep all of those things going so brilliantly well will never leave me. And similarly with my sister, who, as I said, cystic fibrosis, who has led her life with almost no oxygen. Her cystic fibrosis affects the lungs, it affects the digestive system. So almost no oxygen, almost no energy from food, and has found a way to live in the most full, spectacular way imaginable, a life that is so full of love and friendship and care and laughter and joy. And so those two people have continually made me marvel at what can be done with the most limited resources. And I think it's for that reason that when we live our lives in a way that is such a struggle, is so hard, and there's so much effort and all resources being put into a fight and a battle that is the creation of our own minds, that to me is such a tragedy and is so avoidable, is the one thing that all of us can streamline and cut out the craziness, the dissonance, the wasted effort, the wild goose chase, the hamster wheel nature of a mind that is continually chasing itself, continually fighting itself. And yeah, that is our greatest inefficiency. No matter what else is going on in our lives, no matter what else is going on in our lives, orientating attention and intelligence and inquiry in such a way that it is continually ending that fight, that struggle, that's the greatest leap of efficiency that any of us can do. And today I wanted to talk about a few ways into that. And the first way in, which is coming into every single one of our courses right now, which is this hard line, a really hard, uncrossable line between what is achievable in our lives and what isn't. And I know the first time we hear that, it looks like when I say achievable, I'm referring to what's within our capability, what's realistic, what's possible within our money or our skill set or our abilities. No, anything in that area is achievable. Anything in the world of form, in the world of money, in the world of politics and power and influence and change is achievable. If the attention is there and if the want is strong enough, there is no limit to what the human mind can achieve. As we see all the time, don't we? These spectacular leaps of progress and transformation and invention, creation, imagination. There's no limit. There is literally no limit of what the human mind, human ingenuity, human analysis in this world of things, nature, forms, people can achieve. So that's not what we mean by unachievable. What we mean by unachievable is the entire realm of trying to fix in place a believed idea of what I am. So trying to basically find wholeness, which is that deep understanding that we were born into, or that the body mind was born into, deep understanding of total, infinite, universal, seamless energy, really, consciousness, intelligence, aliveness, existence, presence. That's what we are. And the conscious mind settled into that, witnessing content of beliefs arising, witnessing content of experience arising, knowing that all of it is relative, all of it is depending on a certain angle of perception, recognizing that there is no doer of any decisions, no doer of any thought. These things are just arising as a result of the subconscious mind's programming. So the conscious mind settled into that observational space, witnessing everything arising, and a conscious mind that has become fully what it is, which is part of universal, well, not even part of, it is universal consciousness. It is universal life, universal existence, universal love. That is a sane mind. A mind that is believing itself to be separate from that, believing itself to be the doer, the originator of thoughts, the creator of actions and behaviors, addictions, the controller of emotions and experience. That's an identified mind. So it's a conscious mind that has, through belief, through conditioning, has left the truth of universality and has become a believed individual entity. And it's interesting, in a conversation about efficiency, that capacity of the mind to create a representation of individuality is so efficient, just like it does with everything, every concept, the future, the past, money, success, love, friendship, me, me, which is really it's a shorthand device for this brain, body, mind, this collection of actions, this collection of perceptions and experiences. Shorthand for that. Really powerful, because now that avatar, that representation of me, can be moved mentally around the world into different time zones, into past, present, future. It can be held in the mind in relation to other people, other events, other circumstances. It allows for the full capacity of mental representation. Incredibly efficient. The brain can do this. That it can create these shortcuts of psychological devices, is what allows for planning and imagination and creativity and all art and architecture, engineering. All of it is because of the brain's capacity to manipulate mentally. So an incredibly efficient operation, but when it gets so believed that it doesn't represent this body-mind, it looks like it's the thing. It's the thing that is running the show, that should be controlling everything, that can be stabilized as existence of me, what I am. That's when efficiency starts to cross the line into profoundly disruptive. Absolutely a world full of obstacles. And because the mind has tipped into a space where that understanding is lost, where it no longer recognizes that its mental maneuverings are just that, and instead believes them to be true. This is what I am, and this is what they are, and this is what they think of me, and this is what's going to happen next, and this is the terror I have of the future that's going to come true. All of that believed, and then because it's believed, the mind engages in trying to solve those problems and return back to wholeness somehow in this realm of separation, which it can never do. It can never come back to that space of infinite peace, infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence via a unquestioned conviction of separation, of being separate from it. So the inefficiency in that is enormous, enormous. And so what we're saying here categorically is that any want in the area of securing that separate identity through controlling experience, through controlling emotion, through controlling what other people think of me, through controlling what I think of myself, through controlling my future, through trying to find peace in a conviction of the past, all of these things are 100% unachievable. Any attempt within them is a complete and utter waste of mental energy, time, emotional capacity, money, resources, all of it, a total waste. It's the fundamental inefficiency of our existence. And I think it's fair to say that because of the way the media is moving, the way conditioning is moving, the way cultural thought is focusing more and more on that individual self and just not questioning it, and the way that it only looks like there can be communion and wholeness through that individual self finding its specialness, finding its place through what other people think of me, through being loved enough, having enough attention, being respected enough. This identity, we talk about, there's so much stuff about identity, gender identity, my identity. It can never be stabilized. And trying to stabilize it is absolute, not just a waste, but ultimately damaging. So damaging to the brain, body, mind, and to the people around us. So that's the ultimate inefficiency. The ultimate efficiency of our lives is to, in any given moment, especially when there's stress, tension, disruption, protection, defense, to say, what do I want here? Like, really be so clear, what do I want? And then we can write them down and we can start to recognize that realm of inefficiency, of wants that are really fundamentally unfulfillable. I want to be happy. I want them to love me. I want my colleagues to respect me. How would we ever make this happen? And how would we know even? And if it happens like for 1 second, is that enough? Or do we have to dedicate the whole of the rest of our lives to this endeavor? which of course we do. And it's why we're so beaten down when the brain is in this inefficiency. So asking that question in the midst of stress, from everything I've seen, all the work I've ever done, every conversation I've ever had with anyone about this, that seems to me to be so powerful, not just in terms of opening up this exploration of whether that want is possible to meet or not, but also recognize the power of recognizing the unachievable wants. That allows these things to be seen and to come up to the surface, and to make sure that we're not using a spiritual conversation or a therapeutic conversation, a conversation about reality, to push these things away, to hide them, numb them, where they just grow in the subconscious mind. They're not going anywhere, but bringing everything up to the light, to see it and love it, really, ultimately, because these unachievable wants, they've come in through our experience, through our childhood, our upbringings. They're so understandable. They're so logical. They're so natural. They're so innocently right. And yet they cannot be achieved because they lead to a projection of a reality and a projection of a self that can never stabilize itself within that mirror image of the conditioning that has led to that belief system of what I am. So that's our fundamental efficiency, that shift. It's bringing everything out into the open. And it leads, I think, to a second area, which is also so powerful now, which is honesty, which is this ability now, because everything is transparent, everything's understood, the mind is increasingly sane, there's less and less and less need to pretend and manipulate and to strategize to try to get the things that we think we're going to get to stabilize the identity. Now there's just achievable wants, and they can be owned. I would like to go out for a coffee with you. I'd like a hug, please. I'd like you to just listen to me for 10 minutes without any suggestion of what I should do. I'd like you to lend me £1,000. I'd like you to be my client. These things are so achievable, and there's a freshness of honesty that comes with them now, because every movement deeper in, and this is the second element, efficiency, is that because we're not using this conversation to withdraw from the world, instead everything is taking us deeper in, everything is a learning. And because there's nothing to protect anymore in terms of the identity, because that whole thing is unachievable, now there's just information. There's just learning. There's just more and more and more alignment and coherence in the way attention moves into the world. And there's a true ease to that. I was talking the other day about how, criminals needing to lie and having to remember all those lies is an incredible burden. And equally, we're not criminals, but we are freed up now through this of the need to try to track stuff and hold on to stuff and manipulate stuff that actually has no consequence whatsoever, has no relevance, has no utility. And in fact, holding on to it, trying to manipulate it, trying to strategize it all, is a use of resources that is detrimental to the experience of being. So this greater honesty, and an honesty that actually mobilizes the world. I want this, we say out loud, and it is amazing what happens around that as that want becomes so clear and joyful, really, because there is this will to explore, and there is things to change in this world that are profoundly out of alignment with the universal truth of love and consciousness and intelligence that we are. And so, off we go into the world, changing within ourselves all the time, becoming more and more sane, more and more directional, more and more clear in our wants, more and more clear in our asks. And that is the ultimate efficiency. Everything orchestrating around what is true. Doesn't get better than that. So yes, thank you everyone for listening to that. That's my birthday treat to myself. And lots of love to you. Bye. Thank you for listening to Superpowered Mind with me, Claire Diamond. If you want extra support in the exploration of your mind, download our exclusive subliminal recording, especially for podcast listeners, on bit.ly/podcast subliminal.